Hello.
Hello, Mover. Hello, Skid.
Hello, Gonky. Hello, Mover.
You
Hello,
guys
Doug.
pulled me into a new
Hello,
hotel
gentlemen.
room. See this?
Welcome.
You made so much of a stink last time. I had to change rooms.
Look at you.
We had a Luna cam. She's gone now.
Luna. Best dog
How
ever.
is how's Luna Bell doing, man? How's she adjusting to the traveling lifestyle?
Much better
Yeah.
than me. She's much better
Yeah.
at this than I am.
I can see the
He's-
stress on your face, sir.
Hmm. Yeah, we're doing great.
Yeah.
Bring it down.
So how's your Mover? How was your weekend?
What's a weekend, Gonky?
24/7.
Today's my Tuesday, by the way.
Ah, Tuesday.
Monday started yesterday. Today is
Okay.
my Tuesday.
See, for Skid, every day is Saturday, right, Skid?
Saturday, Sunday.
It's all Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty laid
Yeah.
back. Nice.
Yeah.
How's your weekend?
Me?
Sure.
It was all right. You know, I'm now back in my no longer in the motorhome or in the no longer in Ohio.
Yeah, I see the fan.
OHIO.
That's right. It's warmer down here in Florida, hence the fans. So no, man, I got my so since the last show, I had to go see a orthopedic surgeon. He pulled a bunch of fluid out of my knee, 40 cc's, gave me a cortisone shot. I was able to get the family back to Florida. And then I know we talked about it last week, but I just made Frenchie's funeral, which I was happy about that. So I got to go see I got to be at the funeral there and see the family again, which was something I wanted to do. So we had to extend the stay in Ohio for the orthopedic appointment, and I was afraid I would miss it, but I just caught it. So, you know, that was good and bad at the same time, but it's kind of nice to be back. I'm trying to play catch up and kind of get life back to normal.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, and it was Father's Day too, which yeah, just hung out around the house. Skid, what'd you do for Father's Day, man?
I was loved and adored from afar. You know, give me my coffee and I'm happy. You know, guys are different than ladies. You know, ladies got to take care of the little moms.
Oh, yeah.
But just hanging out, watching watch the U.S. Open.
Okay.
Great. It was a great tournament. I don't know if you're into golf.
Go Bryson.
Go
Yeah,
Bryson.
what a Rory. I mean, you choked on those putts, so tough.
So Doug, I take it that's kind of what you did for Father's Day.
No, I just checked in on the Open while I was watching a movie with my number 2 son, who did not bring beer this time either.
Redo.
Bad
Yep.
son.
The rest of the weekend, yeah, he'll figure it out. The rest of the weekend I spent shooting down virtual Kiowas with a virtual hind.
Oh,
Nice.
Look at that.
Well done.
It's a good module.
Fun
Good
times.
training.
Yeah.
Russians are coming.
I was the Russians.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man.
They're in the Caribbean. They're getting close.
Allegedly, they're Skid, right?
Russian.
Wow.
What do you allegedly? They're in Cuba.
Well, maybe they want some cigars.
They're in Cuba.
Cuba.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out. Scano says accepted OTS pilot slot. Wanted to thank y'all.
That's awesome.
Congrats.
Man.
Awesome.
Congrats. That's
10 years
a
are
great
going to go quick.
great opportunity.
10 years will go very quickly.
Yeah, dude, 20 years is
No, it's 10 years from the what's the Navy commitment, Gonky?
10. Yeah.
Okay.
It depends if you get helos or jets. I think helos
Really?
is
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Come on, man. It yeah.
You sure about that?
Air Force is 10.
99%.
Air Force doesn't
It's
care.
not fair.
Yeah,
It's
right.
unfair.
Well,
They got to figure they got to go build hours for the airlines at some point, so they got to let them out early.
Let's see if the Google knows. Commitment length. I'm pretty sure. So for me, it was 8 years after wings, and it took 2 years to get winged. So that was 10 years.
now
And
it's
then
10.
for helos, it was 6 years. So 8 years total, roughly. Yeah.
But now it's 10 after wings.
AI says 6 to 8 years, depending on the type of aircraft you're trained to fly. So fixed wing, jet aircraft, cream of the crop. 8 years. Others 6.
That's unfair. It's not fair.
Skid, the world is not fair. I mean, they're trying to get rid of the A10. That's not fair.
That's unfair.
Totally
we got
unfair.
a voice message. We got a voice message
Oh, we
We
about
gotta
it.
do it. We gotta do it now.
No,
Well, might as
No,
well.
we're gonna save that. Save it for the end. Let the
it's a
people.
good, it's a good voice
let the
message.
people
Let the
build
people
up
talk.
their
Excitement.
Curiosity.
we can play the music though that we were playing earlier. What was it?
Dude, I don't want to.
Too early.
No.
No,
Ambiance, the piece de resistance.
dude,
Boy,
music like that will cause your laptop to crash. Don't do that again.
Boom.
Oh,
Boom.
speaking of, yeah, so I cannot unrecommend enough Dell. It's the worst laptop. Brand new. This brand new laptop. I thought Dell was good. It used to be good, and my last
Yep.
laptop was good. And I got it just for this trip because I was like, I'm gonna get some work done. I'm gonna, do whatever. I have a good laptop. One weekend, blue screen to death, and it's
Wow.
crashing. And so I called them up last night, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we can. We've decided. Yep, you're right. The motherboard is not doing so great." And I said, "Okay, well, can you send me one out, and I'll, send this one back?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, no problem." And today they're like, "It'll be 8 to 10 business days." I said,
Whoa.
I'll be home. I won't need this laptop anymore. So,
Wow.
not too thrilled.
Okay.
Yeah, but what if you gotta go? What if you gotta be somewhere like not at home? Since you're gonna
Yeah.
be in a flying machine that takes you places overnight, you're gonna need that
Yeah,
laptop.
true. Yeah.
Should we do mental health minute now? Mover to help you get through the. Is there?
It's too early, Gonky. It's too early.
That's a Jack and Coke right there,
You need to
Skid.
throttle back, Gonky. Throttle back.
I know. I got to
Hold
stop
back.
the bullying. No more bullying. Okay. Okay. I'm
You
back.
have bullied the large country of Mover. Mover stand.
Mover angry. Mover make man.
Mover mad.
Dude, I need Luna. Luna.
Dude, don't bother
Hey.
that dog. That
Let
dog's
dog sleep. Don't
that-
bother sleeping dogs.
Yeah, she's having a good time. She's
Yeah.
Good.
well adjusted,
Mm-hmm.
Good dog. Good
or
dog.
not so well adjusted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, so we got stuff to talk about. Probably. Do we want to do
Yeah.
the shout outs now?
Yeah.
And
Go
the
ahead, dude.
Thing.
Bring it.
Well, you know what?
Bring the heat.
Okay. So I got a message. How am I gonna do this? I think I can call
First name.
her Chloe. Yeah, Chloe. So she sent me a message and she said, I don't know anything about you except that your videos are always playing on my husband's phones. He loves your videos. Sorry, one phone. He loves your videos and takes all your advice to heart. He himself is in the process of becoming a pilot and serving in the Air
Awesome.
Force Reserves, waiting to get his bachelor's to commission as an officer. He's currently deployed. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Be safe. Be safe, man.
Yeah.
Right now. And I wanted to reach out to ask you kindly if you would offer him a few words of encouragement. He knows I'll always be by his side to cheer him on, but I know it would mean even more coming from you. His name is Sean. And we'll leave it at that for the OPSEC reason. So, Sean,
Mm.
just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yep.
That's like you're on the right
Oh,
path.
great.
Yeah.
Kid, what
Very
kind of
good.
words would you have for such a young gentleman that's
He's
obviously got a good
doing,
wife?
he's doing it right. He's got the most important is having family buy-in on what your dreams are. Don't keep it a
Yeah.
secret so she can support you or however you're working it. And he's doing it great. He's serving right now. He's going to switch, hopefully go to pilot training and get commissioned, go to get pilot training. So he's on a great path. Good luck.
Yeah. I know he's on deployment now, man. I'll say what my dad told me when I first when I was on deployment, I was kind of poopy pants, but he said, dude, you'll never forget. You'll never forget those times. And
Yep.
I know you've got your eye on aviation in the future, but hey, you're on deployment now. And enjoy it as much as you can, because it's the camaraderie I think that I miss the most as far as being deployed and doing the mission and working, whatever that is. And then like Skid said, I mean, aviation, you got obviously have family support, which is tremendous.
Very secure.
And if you get the opportunity, that's the most important thing. Just to get the opportunity to go to any of the flying programs. It's no matter what you fly. I mean, we poke fun at different airframes, but no matter what you fly, it's going to be awesome.
Good call.
I would also say, and Skid, you probably experienced this.
Yeah.
Every retirement has a whole thing about a good spouse, right? the spouse is,
A good spouse is worth her weight or his weight, whatever, in gold. And they can, because your spouse can ruin or be very, my wife has been so incredibly supportive of go fly, do what you want to do, go to Korea, go here, go there. Obviously she was biting her, her nails when I deployed to Afghanistan, but she was totally supportive of what I wanted to do. I said, I wanted to go to combat, and, I had never been to combat, and I had the opportunity to go to combat in 2008. And I had to break it to her. Hey, I'd like to do this. What do you think? And she was, she's like, I support you. And so that was, it's a gut call, gut check.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Good women are hard to find.
Well, and we appreciate the message and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
God bless, Sean. Good luck.
Rule number 1, don't be a douche. Help your bros.
Yeah.
And
cooperate and graduate.
Cooperate to graduate. Yeah. All the platitudes, but they're true. I mean, they're rooted in truth.
100%.
It's a team sport.
But no points for second. But Top Gun's no points for second place, right?
Well, it's true.
Just the movie.
And the plaque for the alternate is in the
other restaurant. Let's get some quotes here, guys. Let's get the quotes here.
Yeah.
Dude, you wouldn't be able to say that in today's world.
You could. It have to be. Yeah, you can't say it right now, but
correct.
There are places where you can probably. I don't know. I've been out too long. Maybe not.
No, you get an LOR.
Well, when it comes to those things, I trust you, Mover.
Yeah. Look, all you got to do is try to promote the Air Force. Next thing
That's
you know.
right. Try to do a good thing, see what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, Thomas says here's $5 for
Scooby snacks. Yeah.
Nice.
Like the Wicked Spider Black says, like the gray in the beard, real retirement there, Gonky.
Come on, Gonky.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is like I'm surprised there's this much white in my.
It's not white. It's gray. It's gray.
Is it gray?
You're getting old, dude.
I don't know.
That's the wisdom. It's the wisdom coming out in you.
Go back in. I still need you. Get back in there. It's like...
Are you gonna do like a Fu Manchu or what's the plan here?
I don't know. I've got another couple weeks of this. Well, it depends on what the doc says about my knee. I might be down and out for a little while, but we'll see, man. I'm just rolling with it, right? Yeah. So.
Hey, did you have a shout out that you wanted to do when there's
I just
supposed to do?
Like this past couple of weeks, it being like Mover making fun of me, I was off the grid, which does make life kind of hard. But I did get quite a few emails just from viewers out there basically thanking the show, not just me, for a lot of it was mental health stuff, and then a lot of it other stuff was kind of like we're just talking about guys trying to go to flight school, and Movers brought it up before. Like we get plenty of hate, and it's those emails, and a lot of them are a little bit like they're longer and they're well thought out. And I know it takes time to do that. And like I read all the emails, and I just if you send me an email, thank you so much. I always try to reply, and it makes the show to me worth doing because like Skid and Mover will tell you, it's we're just trying to help people, right? So
advice,
right?
Been there, done that.
So thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Gotta do the thing. Pneumatic Elephant says, Gonky, best wishes to you, sir. Sometimes you mention words like rag and IP in small country, and sometimes rag IP.
What?
Could you please explain what they mean? Explain yourself, Gonky.
Yeah.
I love pneumatic elephant. That's awesome.
Pneumatic elephant.
No worries. RAG is a replacement air group, which is short speak
RTU.
for
RTU.
Right, that's the Air Force equivalent. So it's basically, when I say RAG, it's the schoolhouse for name the airframe. So the schoolhouse for the F-18, schoolhouse for the P-8, SH-60. IP is instructor pilot. So that is, when I was at VFA 125, we were all IPs because we were teaching Legacy Hornets. Then when I went over and became a Super Hornet instructor, we had instructor Wizzos, and they called it IAC's instructor air crew. And I'm like, that doesn't sound, I would always say IP and I was always getting corrected, but that's IP, instructor pilot.
Are you sensitive about your IP-ness?
I was always confident that I was an IP mover.
Hey, so let me ask you this. You bring up Wizzos. So in the Air Force, a Wizzo in one jet can down a pilot, can like hook, unsatisfactory, a pilot in another jet. Is that also a thing in the Navy?
Yes.
And if so, why?
Yes. Generally speaking, a lot of times that would happen. For example, if there was a Top Gun Wizzo in the formation, a lot of times, and it was good, he's like, hey man, I'll brief it. I'm like, go ahead.
He or she.
It's like, go ahead. And then they would run the brief and the debrief, because truth be told, they were pretty good at that. So they would be the ones reviewing the tapes from all the jets. Now, if my student made a mistake, it's not like, he would like go around my helmet and down my student, but like he would talk to me about it, and then like together we would make a decision, kind of thing. But yes, a Wizzo, and I've seen where just like a Wizzo has seen something like that was totally unsafe. That's a down.
Even with their bad vision?
Mover
bad.
With the AESA and AT FLIR, there is no bad vision. So
never trust a Wizzo without glasses. Anyway,
but yes, to
answer your question, it's just a mood today. That's all this is a mood.
Oh.
Yeah, the crazy thing is when I went to the fleet. So when I left the training squadron, the RAG, there were no 2-seat jets in my fleet squadron, and it was my join up, man. If I was carrying 100 knots at a quarter mile, that's me, right? And it's up to me to fix it. My flight lead's not going to say nothing because he's busy. But my buddies who were in 2-seat squadrons, they literally told me, dude, the first year, it's like being a student for another year, because the way they do it, they pair up senior Wizzos to fly with the new pilots, understandably, right? Yeah. And, they're obviously probably a little nervous. And if, closure gets a little out of control or sight picture's not right, they're chiming in, as I would too if I was them. So, but, it's kind of nice to make your own mistakes and be accountable to yourself.
Right here. Check out the wings right here.
Yeah, I know, dude. But like I said,
look at the wings.
You're in a different world there, but once you get kind of senior, and then it's like you're flying with your buddies. It's actually pretty fun.
Your buddies.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're flying with like Goose.
Oh, dude. When I was flying with my iWizzo buddies, it was a good time. Really good time. Because we're on the same level, and making fun of one another, and plus they were doing things for me. Like I didn't have to talk on the radios, I had to have to push any buttons. I literally just stared out the window. I'm like, hey, where are we going? Oh, okay, over here.
Dude, it was Stoner that was talking about with his 3 other people. He's like, we go cross country. I just wouldn't know where we're going until we showed up.
Wow.
There's some truth. You know how you guys, okay, you guys both being single seat guys, like if you're on a cross country and something happens in the middle of like Nowhereville, America, and you have to divert, it's like, oh, where am I? It's like, but that actually happened to me in a Super Hornet, and I was flying with a Wizzo, Lotney. He was awesome. And like literally, like he got the ATIS where we were going. The weather was crap, and he immediately was like, hey, let's go to Umpty Frats. And like I saw the little needle go chick, and like, because and I was like, I could do this. Just dive with the needle in the nose. I'm like, Lottie, what's the name of that town again? How far is it?
Wow.
So that was kind of nice. It's not all bad,
Yeah.
mover.
Yeah.
Some of it is bad, but it's not all bad.
Well, I'm reminded of the story I've told about the tanker crew that saved me
Oh,
when going. Have you heard this story, Skid? The
Negative.
kids at home have probably had. So back in my Viper days, young wingman, I was the guy who volunteered to do the depot every time because I love
Yeah,
those trips.
great.
That was the most learning possible.
Yep.
Well, I got the idea that I could make it a one leg from Homestead to Hill if I got a tanker. So I got the tanker guide, and I started calling him like, "Hey, I'm going to Hill. Any chance, you guys want to do that?" And I found one. I make them tell you no. I got a yes. So they're like, "Hey, we'll meet you in that track in central Louisiana, and we'll drag you the rest of the way." So I had gotten a PPR at Fort Worth, and then they had just called and confirmed, and I forgot to get a PPR. So I'm airborne. I made the rendezvous happen. I'm all proud of myself. I'm doing hookups and disconnects and hookups, and we're getting fuel, and we're somewhere over like, maybe Nebraska or something. And they go, hey man, because we're on the aux talking. He's like, "Hey man, I got some bad news for you." Like, what? Your DO just called and he's not too happy. And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, it sounds like he just got a phone call from Hill and they're saying you're going to have to divert to Salt Lake City." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so fired." If I land this thing in a civilian field, it's because F-16 totally different world. It's not like the Hornet where you can go to any civilian field. Like there's security things, like it's a big deal. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, "Well, hold on, we'll figure it out." He's like, "Yeah," he says, "you didn't get a PPR, and Hill will not issue you one. Won't issue them one." I said, "Well, what?"
Come on.
Well, I said, "Any chance you guys could call and do it?" And they're like, "We got you." A couple minutes later, like, "You ready to copy?" Like, "Yeah,
Wow.
we got you a PPR in the Hill." They use their little bat phone, base ops phone or whatever, called, got me a PPR, disconnect, see you later, landed at Hill, caught my flight back to Homestead. I could do that trip in one day. Like I would fly the jet with a tanker. I could fly the jet over, get the cab to the airport, and be back by midnight in Miami.
Wow.
Saved my butt, man. I'll never forget.
Yeah. See, man, having some extra help in the air is not always a bad thing, mover.
It might have had a nav. That might have been a nav that did that. That's back in the day when KC-135 still had navs.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Back in the day, yeah.
who knows, man?
They're not all bad. I conceptually, and T-Bear agrees. We've talked about this because he's the one that brought it up. I didn't know this was a thing until he was like, "Yeah, I was doing a visit from 10th Air Force, and the Wizzos were giving busts to pilots," and he's like, "How the hell is that possible?" T-Bear gets all spun up about this thing, and I'm like, "I agree. Like, we're not your people. How do you know? Like, stay in your lane." And so that's all. I just have we should stay. Down yourself. I'll down myself. None the two shall meet.
Well, the skipper of my T-45 squadron, he used to say it's the single anchor master race, which that was pounded into my head.
We're canceled.
Those weren't my words. Those were his words.
51 episodes. Hey, is this episode 51 or 52?
What?
Whatever. Okay.
We're going to be one shy of a year because of my.
No, we're 5 shy of a year according to Gonky math.
Lunar years. No, but yeah, that's what he said, because we would have Wizzos come through who became pilots, and that's always my go-to. It's like you never hear of a pilot who's like, "I'm going to put in a Wizzo transition." No. Skid, have you ever heard of anybody putting in a?
So Navy allows Wizzo and NFOs to upgrade to pilot?
Yes, sir.
I thought that was I heard that was verboten.
No, so probably what you heard was, so back in the day, like if you were a Tomcat Rio and you put in a packet for pilot, you would go back to the Tomcat community. It was like they stopped that after the crash in Tennessee.
Oh, Smyrna. The Smyrna crash.
Yeah, they stopped that.
Because why?
Because he was below average as a pilot. He was a really good Rio.
Oh God.
I mean,
Gonky bullying the Rios, man. I didn't even say that. I was just saying,
dude,
wrong
those
way.
aren't my words. Like I read the accident report, and it's sad but true. I mean, you can just Google it, read it. I mean, nothing against
Yeah.
the dad or his family or anything, but he had a hard time as a pilot in the Tomcat.
Yeah.
But he was an excellent officer, and he was an excellent Rio. But that's when they changed it. They're like, no, okay, now we got to rack and stack you based on how well you do, just because that's probably the more prudent thing to do. But yes, you can go for there was 2 guys in my squadron, in my first fleet squadron, that were prior NFOs.
Mhm.
One was and then we had one that was a prior CH-53 pilot. So we had the Navy does allow transitions
Oh, okay.
in aviation, and mostly, dude, like if you're a rock star like NFO or a 53 guy, if you're doing really well, that bodes well if you want to try to transfer. What it messes up is your career track timing, right? Because you're on a track and like, well, now you're kind of a super junior, we call it super JO, so a very senior junior officer is your first tour in, say, an F-18, right? So it kind of ruins your timeline a little bit, but usually those guys are pretty good. They usually make it work somehow.
Okay.
But yeah,
some of the coolest dudes I knew in the Air Force were Navs, Wizzos that transitioned. Less on the Wizzo side, because sometimes I think they have a little trouble adapting to being the Nugget again.
Yeah.
Once you get to that level, like it's tough to go back to maintain aircraft control, analyze the situation, take proper rest, sit down, and you're like, "What do you mean sit down? I'm a captain."
I've been in combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I filmed so many merges, but it's. But I mean, great people. I mean, in the A-10 community. I mean, we had from the Cajuns, we had a couple Navs that ended up being great A-10 pilots, and
cool.
I think it just depends on who it is. I don't know that there's a hard fast rule about how they end up being in the end.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, dude, skate, man. We had Nash, and he was good dude, man. Good.
Nash, we went to his grad. So Peg and I we flew up 2 Mighty 38s up there to Columbus for his graduation.
Yeah.
The oldest guy to graduate Air Force pilot training.
Yeah.
No kidding. Lieutenant Colonel, walking across the stage, getting the Commander's Cup trophy from the weapons school commander or something.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, he's gonna fly with us. Yeah. And Nash is a great guy.
Great guy. Good pilot.
I'm proud for him, and I know he's enjoying his follow-on career now.
Yeah,
but when he would fly, like when you'd have to get recurrent, I'd love flying with him. Like he was cool to fly with. So I mean, if that's how it is, I mean, I guess the closest thing I can relate to is flying fatties in the 121 world, the pilot monitoring versus pilot flying. And there's some stuff that drives me nuts, like because they're like, you can't touch your own heading select. It's like, why? Because you got to keep both hands on the yoke. It's like, really, I only need the one. You can't change it. Don't do that. The other guy's got to do it. It's like it's the same. Like, how about I just turn? Oh, it's got to be turned. You're like, there's some stuff but it is when you've got 2 people that are on the same page. And one is actually additive and helping. It's awesome, like a cohesive team like that. So I could see if you had like you're talking about, Gonky, you had a bro that your buddies and it's fun flying with, you're joking around, but is additive and not SA draining. Hell yeah, I could see that.
Yep, 1 + 1 sometimes is 3, sometimes it's 0. So, I've been on both. So
yeah. Well, let's stop talking about this because it's been 30 minutes of Wizzo talk.
It's good, man. It's good. If we never hit any of the actual topics, we're good.
Yeah, Ethor says, Mover, here's a drink on me for that Gonky comment. He's just jealous he didn't have the ability to fly the Almighty Viper and was limited to 7.5 cheese.
She gave me 8.1. I got 8.1.
As they say, it's hard to be humble at 9 Gs.
It's hard to be humble at 35 alpha too.
Did you ever see? Yeah, well, I can accelerate in the vertical.
I can't do if I'm low enough and light enough.
Skid, you ever see that bar in the sign in the Cajun bar? That's where I got that from.
What sign again?
So there was a sign in the 706 Fighter Squadron bar because they used to fly Vipers, and
Yep.
it said it's hard to be humble at 9Gs, which I always thought was hilarious because it's in an A10 bar, but it's from their days when they flew the Viper.
The best sign in the bar was at my squadron in Europe. You can shoot down every MiG that's out there, but if you're RTB in the Soviet tank commanders eating lunch in your snack bar, you've lost the war. Questions?
Valid.
Hey, you're a hero. Hey,
like
Gonky, where are we diverting to? Our
Yeah,
base got ran over by Russian
That's right.
tanks.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That was the best sign in my squadron. Like, okay, kill tanks. Kill tanks.
Attack. I love it, Skid.
Well, Thomas says Skid is the guy you just want to sit down and talk to.
100%. 100%.
Skid, there's your new business idea.
There you go.
Just sit
love
down
it.
and moments with Skid.
That's
That's it.
Uh-oh,
Rule.
I love
we
it.
broke Gonky.
No, I'm good.
Eric has a
Love his
question
back.
for Skid. Does Air Force One have a dedicated crew chief?
Ooh.
Yes. Oh yeah, they have dedicated crews, hand-picked, select, all that. You gotta have on EPRs. You gotta have like Sterling reports. I mean, you cannot be a slouch and be on the Air Force One team. So yeah, these guys and gals are all hand-picked, finally reviewed their record, and yeah, they're top notch.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Skid, is there they got a turning spare Air Force One or they?
Yeah, they have a spare,
they?
and then they have NAOC, of course. They have two
Okay.
big jets, and I guess they're. Did you see the story? I think the latest replacement jets having problems.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that last
Yeah.
week or 2 weeks ago? Yeah.
We talked.
So I don't know the 800 model. I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, you need to make sure that thing works. Yeah, don't break.
No.
Not good.
Roger. John says you would make a great motor officer. Hate everyone except themselves and wear to wear shiny boots.
Oh,
I found chips
Motor
on
officer.
Freeview in the hotel. I started
Yep.
watching episode 1 this evening. I'm going to
Yep.
be binge watching that. So
chips.
Airwolf meets chips.
Yep.
That's going to be
There you go.
the show that I designed.
Nice.
Nice.
They'll wear boots and gray flight suits. And
Full face
drive
helmets. Full face helmets.
motorcycles.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Juan Pedro Ficinati says for
Mm.
Gonky C-130 photo fund.
Classic.
Oh, we don't need money for that. That's free.
Yeah.
Dude, where is the tray table for my snacks?
Clear prop. Let's go. Grab a throttle. We're going around, Gonky.
Oh, dude. Skid, you're hilarious.
Grab a
That's what I miss.
It's-
Just hanging out with Skid.
It's just got the 2 throttles, right?
No,
Like they're I thought they're
4 inches?
combined.
go back. Go back to the picture.
It's got 4. I thought they were.
I think you're right, Mover.
Huh.
Yeah, I thought there was something about it's just the 2 levers.
It might be.
Hey, what's that wheel there on the side, Gonky?
Tiller,
Ah, the tiller.
man. You drive her on the ground. I mean, she,
Hey,
you
good.
know.
Dude, they should have let you start it up and taxi it around just to see if you like it.
TR1 for Gonky. Let's go.
No, we don't need any Class A's, man. No, I just wanted to look inside, man. It's the last time I sent you a picture of me in a C-130.
Until you start the OnlyFans.
Oh.
Get it, fans? Because it's the 4 fans of freedom. Huh?
Huh?
Oh, dude.
No? Okay, fine. That's guys. Okay, hey, we got topics. What is this? I don't even know what this is. Gonky, you did all
Mace.
this today. What is
Mace.
NATO questions? Oh, do you have that? Or am I
No,
supposed
do
to
you?
do- Oh, come on.
Come on.
NATO.
Hold on, I gotta find it.
I didn't want to mess it up.
Well, you think I do?
Yeah, Mace is.
So Mace
she's
is
important.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mace is a friend of the channel, obviously,
Mhm.
which is
Thunderbird
cool
Mace.
because it's like the popular girl is friends with us,
Yeah.
which is the first in my life.
It's like the one
Yeah.
popular girl
She
talks
feels
to
sorry.
us.
She
It's like,
feels sorry
cool.
for us.
You're cool.
let me help these guys.
Yeah, she feels sorry for us. When did I send you that, Gonky? Crap, I can't.
I don't know, man.
Was that today?
Listen, at no point
The days have started to meld together. I
At-
don't know.
at no point were my technical abilities ever surpass or match yours.
What do you think Mace's name? Oh, that's all right. She doesn't use her call sign in her emails.
No.
All right. So she's going to an event in Washington, D.C., July. It's the NATO 75th anniversary summit. Okay. So kind of a big deal. One of the goals is for them to interact with various diplomats and get questions answered that would be interesting to the audiences. Some of the people that she may be able to question: the chair of the military committee for NATO, the U.S. ambassador to NATO, representatives from Poland, representatives from the large countries of Japan and Korea, Gonky.
Huge.
She says, since we have an international audience and international relations, I thought they might have some requests on who I should try to interview and questions they wanted answered. No guarantees, but she's going to try for us, the nerds.
Wow.
So some areas she's already brought up to her contact about asking how NATO and specifically the U.S. can better support Poland in that region. A potential question on the Ukraine getting F-16s and Poland's F-16s pilots being U.S. trained. NATO's role in the evolving security threats. And the U.S. ambassador, what they see our role in helping NATO more effectively combat authoritarian regimes, threat to democracy. Wow, that's like a term paper.
Wow.
These are smarter questions than either of us can give, Gonky.
Wow.
That's why we are not going to DC.
Yeah, well, that's why we weren't invited. My questions will focus around military and defense, since that's what my audience cares about, but we can ask for any burning questions people have in general. Aliens. Got to be about the NATO aliens. NATO aliens.
Okay.
So
did Mace go to Gonky or Mover? You did Mace go through your NATO pilot training? Do you know? Did she attend Euronato at Shepherd?
I would have to go back to our interview. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, would they? That's my question. Would they expand NATO training at Shepherd since they need more pilots in Europe for the war?
Yeah.
So,
will we have more NATO? Write that down, Doug.
Gonky,
Write that down.
Good question.
Yeah. So tell you what, for the people at home, because obviously you can't write it in the comments, right? Because we're not going to see it. Although this is a good one. Ask him if Turkey A is offended by Gonky personally or just it's the whole country.
Turkey Lurkey?
Turkey A.
I went to Turkey once.
So here's where you can send emails. We've got this one, which I need to check. And we got this one. And then we got this one. So any of these places, send us what you think.
Mace should ask.
Yeah.
Mace should ask the leaders of the free world.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can't make the world a better place.
That's right. See if we can't influence NATO.
Try not to get Mace fired.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Like uninvited, no war crimes.
No,
you know, nothing that'll get her kicked out of. Well, it's a DC, so what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to talk to her after that trip.
Look, I think whoever invited her needs to think outside the container. Invite us, because we'll ask the hard-hitting questions. Maybe
just you, Mover. I'm a little. I don't mix well with them kinds of people. You know what I'm saying?
That's why it needs to be you.
They'd be like, that was a quick meeting, Gonky. Yeah, they kicked me out. Like immediately.
No, Gonky, if history is our guide, you and I could ask the exact same question. I would end up in jail. and you would end up
besties. I'd be Facebook messaging.
I would be in jail. You would just be like, "Oh, look, Gonky's so great. He asked the same." Like, how? Why? What?
It's
now?
the delivery, bro. You gotta get the delivery down.
Yep. What's Luna doing?
She's in bed.
Dude, you mentioned Mace, and her little ears went.
All right. Hey, let's do an article, huh?
Oh,
yes. Hey, I thought, you know what? We've got
Don't
Skid
do it.
on here.
Don't do it.
We got Skid on here. I'm like, I need to dig up an A10 article. When since Skid has like a bajillion hours in this thing. So yes, the A10 Warhog,
Training aid, sir.
Training aid. I love it, man. The A10 Warhog retirement is a nightmare for the U.S. military. It's kind of a long article. Basically, this year, 42 of them are supposed to be retired, and then in the coming years, the remaining 260. Yeah. Obviously, the A10, purpose-built cast airframe, and really the main point of the article is, save the A10. I get it. Got a lot of hours on it. Yeah. It's been around for what, Skid? Pushing 50 years now.
Late 70s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's about me. So pushing 50 years now. But really the threat is and correct me if I'm wrong, man, but the A10 community is the air to ground SME. Like they're the ones with the corporate knowledge, all of the tactics, the smarts on how to support troops on the ground. And so if you know a little bit of a history of the Air Force and the Army, that was kind of the deal, right?
Correct. Remember in 47,
that's right.
We had the Key West Agreement. Are you familiar with the Key West Agreement?
They mentioned it in this article.
Army and Air Force. And so what the Air Force is doing now is they're reneging on that contract. And so that's where you hear a lot of people asking, will the Army get the A10? Will or the Marines get the A10, which is, I don't think that's feasible. Because of the way the Army operates and the doctrine, I think they do okay, but not having the Air Force mentality and philosophies. But
so this is kind of what the article gets to. If we retire the A10, and the big Air Force's arguments like, it can't survive in the modern battlefield. Well, in every single conflict it's been in, it has done well. And the real threat is like you're talking about it, Skid. Okay, we get rid of the A10, all the A10 pilots, their schoolhouse gets stood down. They go fly other things, and the knowledge is gone as far as how do you effectively take a incredible fixed wing aircraft and effectively support ground troops. And you mentioned the Army. If it goes to the Army, just sitting here spitballing, they're probably gonna be like, oh, it's kind of like an Apache that's faster, right? Right. I could see, but they don't have the corporate knowledge. So I guess my question to you, man, being an A10 guy, after reading that article, I mean, what do you think is going to happen to the corporate knowledge of air to ground warfare? And how is that, in your opinion? I mean, how's that void going to be filled?
It's going to be difficult. You're going to rely on F-35s. Some Viper units out there to hold up the cast. The big problem I see is they don't have CSAR. They're not talking about CSAR at all. Who's going to do CSAR? But you're basically, hey, you're telling the Army, hey, we're not going to support you with dedicated close air support unless it's above for a Strike Eagle at 20,000 feet, dropping a bomb from, 10 miles away, which might not work in a traditional, cast. Troops in contact, Russians or whoever you're fighting, no kidding, you're within one click fighting each other, a traditional land, air, ground, land battle situation. So perfect example is Ukraine right now. And you can see that the Su-25s are not doing well, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting their butts hit because it's all about, like when I was in Europe back in the late 80s, early 90s in the Hog, our threat was the Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact, the tanks, SA-8, ZSU-23-4s, MANPADS, of course. And our whole life way to live was stay low, terrain mass, pop to acquire a target, shoot your Maverick missile or you shoot your gun, destroy armor, and suppress and stop the advancement of those vehicles into Western Europe. So you're basically going to trade this out for, stealth. Okay, the F-35's got stealth capabilities. Supposedly after day 3, you can, when you have all the radars down, you could hang bombs on the F-35 and do more traditional cast, but I just don't see it happening very well. So the Army, of course, is very good now with their Apaches and other assets they have to fight their war, because they know the Air Force might not be there for them. So, we're going to give them the best support we can, but getting rid of the A-10, I think, is a big mistake. Maybe you should have, cut the fleet in half. It's very cheap to operate. Keep at least a core that you can support. Maybe obviously Korea, for the 25th FS at Korea at Osan, and keep one other squadron or 2 other squadrons so you can rotate a little bit. But getting rid of the whole program is just dumb.
What in the Air Force? What does CSAR mean?
Combat search and rescue. So it's basically when one of our bros or sisters get shot down, we're gonna fly combat search and rescue, utilizing the A-10 right now, of course, with multiple other assets, tankers, Strike Eagles, other assets to helos to go rescue that pilot and bring them out safe. And the A-10 is a perfect CSAR platform because we're armor plated. We got the big gun. We got lots of fuel. We got staying power, and we can help rescue that pilot and get him out of there. Kind of like the A-1 Skyraider in Vietnam.
Yep.
What it did and the like there. You're giving up that capability. So that's the only problem I see, is they're not thinking about who's going to pick up the CSAR mission and be in charge of it. Now you got A-10 guys that are going into the F-35. Okay, great. But they're not allowing them to use the F-35 in A-10 capacity because they're about F-35. That's all they are. They're about F-35 tactics. So I see it as a problem. And until something happens, when we get caught with our pants down and guys get hurt or worse, then you're in trouble. And it'll be like, whoa, why did we do this? So my take on it is, keep the A-10 around in some fashion, but it's a moot point now, but we'll see what happens.
Skid, how does that compare to the capability of an AC-130?
Gunship is good for certain, obviously in a reduced threat environment when you can orbit the target area, and you don't worry about man pads or AAA. We have impunity. They can orbit the target area, and that's good for point targets. I think we lost one in Desert Storm, correct? Do you remember that?
I think we did.
Know.
Yeah.
We had one get shot. We had one get shot down because what happened was they stayed past their vol time for into the early morning when they could be seen, and the Iraqis got them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a special ops airplane, and maybe some people have thought about putting the A-10 in special ops because it's you got the NVGs, you got targeting pod, you got a lot of cool stuff. Put it into the make it a smaller mission, put it into special ops. Keep that. That would be, I think, really critical to do. This is me.
Yeah, I think people who say the F-35 can replace the A-10 and in the air to ground role have never done CAS in a fast jet. I mean, Mover, you've done a lot of CAS in the F-16. We've done it together in the Hornet, and it's challenging because of the speeds, right? I mean, the F-16 is not built to, or the Hornet's not built to hang out, down low. And Pig, another A-10 brother of ours, tells a great story of, he was supporting troops in contact in the A-10, and they were running out of ammo, and these F-16s came in to relieve them, and they were like, "Hey, how's the weather?" And Pig said, "Clearing a million below 3,000 feet." The Vipers were like, "Yeah, we can't." And it's like, it's because of the speed, man. Speed is good until it's not good, right? So, I think the performance and the fact that another thing that used to kind of crush us in the Hornet was loadout and time on station. A10, right? Turbofan engines, no afterburner, stay on station a long time, carry a great weapon load, had a lot of rounds in the gun. Every round of the gun had a lot more firepower than every round in the 20 millimeter and the F-16 and the Hornet. So, we check in. Okay, we got an hour 15 of playtime. I've got 500 rounds of 20 mic, and I've got 2 GBU whatevers, and that's they're like, what am I gonna do with that? So there's a lot, and the F-35 is even less, just to some degree, right? Especially if they're playing the whole stealth game, everything's internal, right? But I don't know, man. The airplane, there's a gap, and in my mind, the article brings up about just losing the knowledge, and that's a lot, because that is knowledge that has taken decades to refine, and perfect, and I think that would be, somebody needs to really take a look at that, kind of like you mentioned, Skid, like try to keep it alive in the F-35 community or something. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Mover?
You in the past brought up a point that I think is very relevant, which is in an effort to cut costs and have a Swiss Army knife airplane, we've created a lack of expertise. We need the A-10, the F-15, like we need people that are specialists in certain areas so that we can call upon them to be experts in their field. We need that because we need that corporate knowledge.
Right.
I was thinking about this while I was reading that article. So what if the Air Force only had F-22s and A-10s? Right? I mean, air-to-air threat, no problem. Okay, get command of the air with your 3,000 Raptors, and then dominate the ground with your 3,000 A-10s. I mean, is that a bad idea, Skid?
Who's gonna blow up the baby milk factory?
The A-10s.
Oh, okay.
All 3,000 of you. I don't know, right? I mean, to your point, Mover, about specialized, right? Have your air-to-air guys and your air-to-ground guys, and the A-10's got carry sidewinders, right? You can do a little bit if
self-defense only, sir.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah. You just, I think you need specialists. I mean, I do agree that, I'm a Viper guy, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. There's a place for that. There is a place for the swing roll fighters. There's a place for the Strike Eagle. There's a place for the Raptor and Fat Amy, especially when it comes to seed, because we need seed assets. But what I don't think is where we get into these budget situations because of cost overruns and stuff, and we go, we can't afford it anymore. Let's sell our souls on this one concept. And then, we're constantly chasing theaters. We're chasing the next war when we know the answer. And the answer is we need somebody really good at one mission. We need somebody really good at the next mission. And we need somebody really good at a little bit of everything. You need that mixture. I would argue with Gonky, you need 1,000 Raptors, 1,000 Vipers, and 1,000 A-10s. There's
perfect.
Your, I'm saying that there's your, and then throw in some B-52s because we're never going to retire those.
Nope.
I mean,
we're not.
That means there's no Wizzos in the fighter community, Mover.
Ooh.
That's your words, not mine.
Dude.
I don't.
Fun fact.
Your words, not mine. I was just throwing some ideas out there. If they work out that way, I can't. I'm not in charge.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So from the audience, good talk. Pneumatic Elephant.
Thank you.
Skid.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Pneumatic Elephant again. Mover, I re-listened to your talk with Casmo third time. Fantastic job. Can you talk more about very first flight in F-18 after F-16? Was it scary? No.
Scary?
It was no, it wasn't
Were you
scary.
scared?
That was
Were you
so
frightened?
easy to fly.
Were you
No,
frightened?
It was.
Did you bite your nails?
It was such a bigger airplane. Like that's the thing I remember. I'm like, damn, this
Two
thing
engines,
is like
two
sitting
motors
up here. Yeah, but they're two weak engines. It's not like the big Viper motor. They're not. It's like
Gonky?
two weak engines
Gonky?
kind of almost
Gonky?
equals a Viper engine. It's
Two
not.
There is
Viper.
an EPE engine that is better.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get to fly it. I flew the they had the C model that had the upgraded engine, but it's not EPE. It's like the 404,
No, so the base motor was the
402,
400,
404.
and the big
That was
motor was
402.
402.
Okay, I thought there was a 404 somewhere in there.
I don't know.
Wow.
One of them had 16 aside, the other one had 18 aside in burner.
Wow.
I flew that one, but
Wow.
so my very first flight, I was so like foreign to the ways of the Navy, right? I'm expecting Air Force, hey,
Arrgh.
TR1. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna
Nope.
do these AHC
Yeah,
maneuvers,
let's go.
and then we're
Nope.
gonna do this kind of approach and this landing, and we got to check these boxes and stuff. And we go out to the airspace, and he's like, "Okay, man, we'll do a high alpha demo." Okay, cool. He's like, "All right, what do you want to do?" I was like, "What do you mean? What do I want to do?" He's like, "Well, what do you want to see this thing do?" I said, "Well, all right, well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Just do whatever, just pull some G's, do whatever you want. This is your ride, whatever."
Yep.
So I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Well, let me see how it compares to the Viper." I went down to like 7,000 feet, lit the blower, 420 knots, 430 knots, and just went on the limiter. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. It's very nice. I'd just been flying the Viper. I mean, I like the week, a couple weeks
Wow.
prior, I was a Viper guy. So I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I hear him in the back going, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" So I said, "I'm just trying out to see how many G's it can sustain." He's like, "We don't do that here." I'm like,
No.
"Okay. All right,
Bad pilot.
No, dude.
You're a bad pilot.
He was like, "What are you doing?"
I'm going to check the G limiter here on this bag.
Yeah.
No, man. That's a terrible place to be.
Did
Anything
he give
above
you a
about
down
3
for that
Gs?
mover? Did he give you a down for that? Did he give
Oh
you a
no.
down?
We went
No?
and we bounced. We did some. We went to the pattern and landed. I'm like, "Why don't we flare? This would be."
Too much
He's
work.
like that. He's like, "That was a flare. Let me show you a FCLP." And I'm like, he did the first one, and I said, "Did we just break the airplane?" Because it was like through my teeth. Like I was like, what is this? But no. And then finally, like ride 6 or whatever, 4 or 5, after, which by the way, the majority of my hours were going to Key West. I had the IPs like, "Oh, we're going to take the weekend, go to Key West. That'll be most of your hours." And then finally I had enough hours, but I was just short. And they're like, "Okay, go." I'm like, "What do you mean go?" "Well, just go fly VFR up and down the coast if you want." I'm like,
What?
"That's legal?"
Nice.
He's like, "Oh yeah, VFR, it's a thing." I'm like, "You sure?"
For all you young bucks listening and trying to decide on which service you want to fly fighters in, just keep listening to Mover. Continue, sir.
Well, all right. If we're gonna go the whole story, I get to Strike Fatron 204. I show up and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do, well, first off, they didn't even sign my NATOPS check, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to come down and Huravac a jet." I'm like, okay, we go up to Fort Worth, Huravac. Come, and he's like, "Okay, tomorrow you're gonna fly with CAG and DCAG." Like, to do what? "Oh, we're gonna do intercept." I said, "Y'all didn't teach me how to use the radar. You pulled me out of training. That wasn't part of the school I just went to." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna give you a mulligan." I said, "What's that?" "Oh, it's when you're too hungover." "I'm not hungover. I just don't know how to work this airplane."
Hey,
So
Skid,
we
this
come,
is called the Big Boy program.
yeah. So we
Welcome to
come
the
back, and I'm there for a little while, and we're going through the adversary tactical upgrade, and we get to the we start getting, what was it called? It was AdTac, where you started teaching BFM.
Yeah, that was different than what it was called when I went through.
Yeah, so we go through the teaching the BFM, and I'm like, "Hey, will somebody please teach me the BFM before you expect me to go lead and teach this myself?" And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I know how to do this in an F-16, but I don't think it carries over." And they're like, "Well, go watch the DVD." I said, what do you mean the DVD?" And they're like, "Go to the vault," which was
Yeah.
just like a closet with the safe. And they said, there's a DVD. I said, well, okay. And they said, go put the DVD in the DVD player, watch the DVD, and then you're going to regurgitate that to us. And I said, well, how come you can't tell me and then I'll regurgitate it back to you? And they said, no, go watch the DVD. So I go watch the DVD, and it's this Top Gun dude, and he is standing in front of a virtual student and doing what I asked them to do for me. And I'm like, there's got to be more than this. They're like, no, just learn how to do that. It's a DVD. Wow. And then finally,
called efficiency.
A Top Gun guy shows up, and I'm like, thank God, Air Force, weapons school, patchwear, humble, credible, approachable. I'm going to learn how to fly this Hornet. I can't wait to talk to him. First thing he says, he goes, I hate Air Force guys. And I'm like, well, that's great. so that's awesome. And as about that time, our skipper said, hey, we're going to start doing blue tactics. And he's like, move her up. You're going to go through the level 2 blue course. So I was like, okay. And the patch is going to give you create a syllabus just for you. Okay. So a couple weeks go by, I'm flying, they're like, hey, mover, how's the level 2? I'm like, well, I haven't seen the syllabus yet. So I go up to him. I'm like, hey, have you written the syllabus? No, not yet. Hey, have you written the syllabus? No, not yet. Hey, have you written the syllabus? He's like, why don't you write it? I'm like, you want me to write my own syllabus? I don't even know. Like, what does that mean? It's like, you write your own syllabus. Like, I don't. Okay.
Oh my God.
See, that's reserve specific though.
That's one guy. No, that's 2 cents.
That's true. That is one.
That's the one guy.
In the active Navy, like if you're just going through, it's very formal.
Oh yeah.
But dude, guys, I flew with a ton of. So we were always getting different people coming through the Hornet school, and we were always getting F-15 guys, A-10 guys, and it's
really
literally the mentality is you got wings, you're a big boy, you've probably been to combat. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. Let me just show you how to operate this thing. Like, the details are the details. You'll learn that whenever later. Like, you're a big boy. So not the experience the Air Force gives somebody coming into there.
Oh, I mean, Skid, we go like combat flight lead in the Viper, instructor in the Hornet, show up in the T-38. It's a 15 ride wingman syllabus.
Yes.
Like, it's a longer wingman syllabus to fly the T-38A than it is to fly an F-16 or an F-18 at an LFE at Fallon.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
For this, I was like, I mean, Gonky, you went through the T-38B course. Tell us about that.
I think it was the damn. I think it was the Top Gun class I went through.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute. This jet has no tapes or carries any weapons. Why are we even talking?
Oh, wow. Yep.
All good times, though, man. Good times.
Oh yeah. It was just they took it serious. They wanted to. I mean, for me as an A-10 guy flying the adversary air was like incredible. Like, what am I doing here? I have no SA.
But Skid, honestly, dude, it was geared towards all the new pilots, the second lieutenants is geared for them, which is fine.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I appreciated all the guys took me in their wing and briefed me on this and that, because an A-10 is different. A-10 is defensive. You don't think offensively in the in the A-10. So I appreciate all their training.
I just remember, and it was progressively more difficult, right? Because in the Viper, Red Air was, dude, you saw the schedule and you're like, I'm Red Air. You're like, oh God, what a day. This is awesome. I don't have to do anything, because you would go and, you sit through the brief and you're leading a 4-ship or a 10-ship, whatever, the whole LFE, whatever. And you'd go look in the book and you'd be like, yeah, let's do this one. Yeah. Right here, and you'd make you're like, hey, Lieutenant, go make a copy of this. Yeah. Everybody would get a copy. There was no drawing, no nothing. And then you'd be hanging out eating popcorn while the Blue Air guys were like debrief, briefing, brief. 8
hours.
And then you go fly. It'd work out great. You'd high five and head to the bar. Then you go to the Hornet. And it's professional, which I get it. We're a professional adversary squad. We're aggressors. And now you're drawing and you got the little, remember the little, did you have that little wallet card thing for how to precisely draw the red arrows and stuff?
Calibrated.
So, yeah. So you got the very nice card that you made and everything. I was like, okay, that was a little bit tougher. Then you get to the T-38 and it's like, everybody's got an altitude. Everybody's got a position. You don't know where anybody is. You don't know where you are. You don't know what's going on half the time. The radio may or may not be working. Oh, by the way, if the squelch is off in the back, your life is ruined. If that back radio, because you can't change anything. I think the T-38A was probably the most difficult tactical flying for the wrong reasons.
I just remember being out there knowing there's like, dude, there's 50 other airplanes out here, but looking around, I am by myself, but I'm on this altitude. Like, there's 49 other jets around here somewhere, probably behind me, but like, I have no clue where they are.
But I will say though, towards the end, when you got good at it,
yeah,
it was much more rewarding.
Oh yeah,
You
a lot
know,
of fun.
I mean, you like it would. I would have loved, and that's one of my regrets. Because it would have been cool to go from the T-38A at the end with currency and experience to like a Viper or some other 4th or 5th gen airplane that did red air, and just take all those lessons learned, because you knew how to listen up on the radio more, because you got lazy in other jets, and you built that sight picture, and you were able to, because everything always went wrong, you were able to fix things on the fly, versus in other jets where you just fixed it with the data link. You're like, hey, 2, I see you 270, check left, reference 220, gate, let's go. It was so much easier when you had tools. But I think, and for lieutenants, I think that was a good place to kind of get their, just get that little bit of extra before they moved on to a 5th gen fighter.
Good.
I miss it.
I got nothing else.
I miss it.
We tried, T-Bear we tried getting us a 4-man's data link on the 38. You know that?
Yeah.
We tried putting a radio in the airplane, and just we didn't have an antenna, so it didn't work.
We had one at the end. Did you ever fly with ADS BPUCs?
Tried, yeah. I mean, I tried doing that, but it never worked. Never got through the canopy or something.
Oh, it worked for us. Towards the end on the iPad, it was
good.
It was pretty
pretty
nice. You couldn't see them; you could just see each other.
That's all you care. I care about is us. I don't care about them. They got SA.
Yeah.
So.
Just make sure our picture looks right.
unless Gonky, unless you've got L30, L50 now, L159s behind you, trying to keep up.
Draken.
0.5 Mach.
Come on, Draken.
And Gonky gets yelled at.
Information I could have used at the brief.
Hey, that's when I got my Raptor kill.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why they were mad.
Remember that?
That's why they were mad.
Dude, I killed the instructor.
Yes, that's why he was mad.
I killed the IP.
Yeah, and he was the he was the squadron
check ride. It was like his check ride or something.
He was giving the check ride.
Punish blue air mistakes. Blue mistakes. Did you guys ever fly against the Hornets that came to Tyndall? Remember the schoolhouse came and we flew against them? Remember that?
Yes, it was awesome.
And was it Bandits Assess? I go, what's this? Bandits Assess.
Bandits Evaluate. Bandits Recommend, knock it off.
Recommend?
Yeah, if we were, dude, as Red Air, we just recommend. It's up to the blue lead to determine whether the training's over or not.
Whatever.
These are standard
tactics. You want to talk about comm? You know what drove me nuts, Gonky, is
the check-in. We all know
that. But why are we welcoming people? So for those that don't know, Navy Red Air, they would come in and it would be like, Rage 11 checking it. Welcome to your SFWTI of 6.9. It's like, welcome. You're not welcome here. Shut up.
Wow.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's a very gentlemanly thing to do to welcome your opponent to the arena. Yeah. I mean, that's right. I mean, that's what we do. We're gentlemen. We're not savages fighting on the ground with rifles.
Got scallywags here.
Knights of the air.
That's some
we're knights of the air. That's right.
Chivalry.
Yeah. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to your event.
That's right.
You could at least tell me the temperature.
It's so funny, man. Like when it'd been a while since I heard like the check-in. Then when I did the check-in, it just like rolled off. Like I just
What's the hard deck on this hop?
5,000 feet.
There'll be no engagement
water.
below that point.
Below the hard deck.
Doesn't count. Anyway, I've been trying to get Brock. That's a cool picture. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Finally get to see you guys
Han
live.
Solo.
Police MD-530 pilot living the dream. That's a cool helicopter.
Nice, man.
Is that the NOTAR?
Look
I
at
think the
Wow.
530 has
that. Was it
NOTAR, no
MD
tail
5
rotor.
MD?
Yeah.
What do you call it? A
Yeah, it's-
NOTAR?
Yeah, no tail rotor. It uses the exhaust from the turbine instead of a no tail rotor?
No, it's got a tail rotor. It looks like the Magnum PI chopper.
Yeah,
Use
but with no
500?
tail rotor.
It looks like there's a tail rotor.
Okay.
I don't know.
TC.
Blue Rex 03 mover. The AIB video today reminded me of the time at Aviano that a pilot broke an F-16 tail hook mount during the barrier test. Not a fun afternoon.
Hmm.
Bad.
It'll buff out. Aviation Mayhem says, "Have any of you busted the tower?"
No.
What does that mean?
I've been kicked out of a tower. Does that
I
count?
was the RCO at Brandinas Range in Spain, and I had a Viper come by the tower at like 600 knots. I was like from Torrejon, like, and a 111 came by too. It was incredible,
How fast was he going? Like 900 knots?
something like that. It was amazing. Stupid, but it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So allegedly, I during my time at Strike Fatron, alleged 04279,
6'9".
6969. I went back to an old base that I may have flown Vipers at
Yeah.
for a cross country. It was just a stop. I wasn't spending the night or anything. And of course, the old bros were hanging out because it was in the evening. It was like a Friday afternoon because got the jet for the whole weekend. And I go to Homestead, and if you come up initial at Homestead, it's a right brake. Left brake over the base, right brake, downwind goes over the racetrack. And I knew the controllers because I used to sit supervisor flying in the tower, and they were all Navy guys. I knew they were all Navy guys because they always used to make fun of Air Force guys because they're civilian contractors. And so I requested the carrier brake, and I requested a left-hand carrier brake. And I sent it right over the tower, because if you go left, you go right in front of the tower. And dude, I planned the brake like perfectly right in front of the tower, right over the base. Made all the noises.
Did they key the mic for you?
No, they didn't do that.
Did you hear yourself?
Yeah, they didn't do that. But dude, it was. And I got back, they're like, "Oh my God, I thought we were," like, the dudes at the squadron, like, "I thought we were being invaded." It's like, I just heard everything rattling, and like, we knew you were here.
Love
Welcome
it.
aboard, sailor.
That's
Then I
right.
found $5.
Yep.
Kate says, "Skid, I love your infectious laughter, hilarious storytelling, mover, fighter pilot, stand-up comedy team, you guys."
Taking it on the road. Let's go to Vegas.
That's right.
We need to do TED Talks. Angie says, "Just doing a drive-by while I have signal, treating you guys for a live aboard ship and some Komodo dragons today." Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
cool. Thank you.
Stay out of the Gulf. There's something brewing.
Mhm.
Ethan says, "Mover, rewatched last episode. Turns out I met your roommate, Tuna Turner, the year after his Colorado ejection." Is that him? That is Tuna.
Wow.
That's Thunderbird 5, an airshow event in one. Dude,
That's
Tuna
cool.
is the Tuna and Deuce, best Americans, coolest guys,
Cool.
best friends through pilot training and B course and stuff. Tuna was my roommate, and just an awesome dude. Who knows? Family member just graduated high school, is going to Air Force in 10 days. Any advice? I told him, be a bro, not a problem.
That's good advice.
Very
Yeah,
good.
be a bro, don't be a douche.
Mm.
De Havilland, Ryan Ott says, Beaver. De Havilland,
That's bad.
Beaver versus Bode, who has. I saw that video. Did you see that?
That's
Gonky?
bad.
Yeah, so there was the burning blimp on short final, right? That's the person who has the most right of way, but I'm trying to figure out
No, I think the FARs say, or CFRs now say, the boat has the right of way.
Does it? Because it's the
Really?
least
Yeah.
it's the
Why?
least maneuverable.
Well, it's the
boat?
rules of the seaplane. It's because I guess
Oh.
they expect you to do regard. I don't know.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's what I read. Could be wrong. Probably
Yeah,
is
that
wrong.
sucks. So that video was not good.
Hey, speaking of not good, Southwest is in the news lately.
Dutch roll.
Douglas, we have that. Oh, there it is. So the couple things, and we're going to talk about them together. Southwest plane that did a Dutch roll. This one's probably the scarier one. It was a 737 Max. It had structural damage. It went into a Dutch roll. And what that is where you get into the yaw, and also the rolling motion kind of makes the figure eight with the wingtip. It was at 34,000 feet, Phoenix to Oakland on May 25th, but they didn't tell the NTSB until June 7th.
Yeah, good.
Uh,
Good.
and I think that's because following, it took them that long to figure out that structural damage had occurred. So it's a combination of yaw, or the tail sliding side to side, the plane rocking in a way that causes the wings to roll up and down. They didn't realize how serious it was. It's part of aerodynamics. Is that it? Okay. So they trained to recover, but the damage was described as substantial. It was to the tail fin where the power units are housed. He was baffled that the backup unit would be damaged because normally it would not be activated during a Dutch roll. They're not prone. Obviously, it's a swept wing thing. I mean, that's usually what causes that, especially at altitude. But they downloaded the data. The CVR was obviously overwritten already.
Yep.
There were no injuries, and they're expecting a preliminary report in 30
Okay.
days. So that's part one we can talk about. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the scarier one, because I read something else, and it could be rumor, or not accurate, but that the actually got up to about high angles of bank, where there was
Wow.
45, 60 degrees of bank, and at altitude, now you're talking upset recoveries in an airplane like that.
Oh.
The airplane, they've got yaw dampers, so it should keep it from getting into a situation like that. So I'm curious of what happens. And the Max has been plagued with MCAS problems and all that. This seems like what are we doing? What have we yet to discover about this airplane? Because it's Frankenstein's monster. They have taken an airplane that was very short and stubby when it was first designed, with very small engines, and they've stretched it, and they've added big honking engines that have changed the center of gravity. They have created all kinds of new issues that they've had to train to. And so I don't know. What do you guys think? Skid, what's your...
Well, I mean, you would think flight tests would have discovered this when they were flight testing, and all the simulations and all the stuff they do. And that, is this a one-off anomaly that something in the hydraulic actuator wasn't working properly? Maybe, I don't know. And if it got that bad, I think it would have gotten more press, like from people in the back screaming. So somehow it didn't get to that level because it didn't make the news, right, until recently. Because it was like after the fact, the airplane's back in the chocks. Oh, by the way, we wrote it up for some problem. And I know, in today's modern jets, the system identifies problems before the pilots know. So it'll send a message to what company, and company sends you a message back. Hey, is anything going on with your jet? And like, oh yeah, I got a fault indicator or something. So, and obviously everyone's now high, targeting Boeing for all its problems. So anything that pops up now is like, oh. So I think this is a one-off. I mean, obviously MCAS has been problematic with the mishaps they've had. I'm sorry. So this will be. Haven't any other jets do this, correct? Have you had any reports of this happening on any other Maxes out there?
No, but if you recall, early the Boeings had had rudder problems. Like that killed a lot lot of people early on.
With a Max?
You know, remember US Air
back in
427?
Yeah.
The US Air jet, and then the United 73 going into Denver. They got the rudder hard over at low altitude, and it basically rolled right into the ground. But I don't.
That was like 40 years ago, right, Gonky?
Yeah, I'm not
30
saying
years
that
ago,
that's what
yeah,
this-
30.
That's what
I
this
mean,
is.
I'm talking
just
about
saying
when
that-
you, yeah, when you have mishaps, like as and you guys have been safety, what's the trend? How many airplanes have declared have this problem? You start doing the tracking. How many this, how many that, and if this jet is the first one in 30 years to have a rudder Dutch roll
over.
problem,
Dutch roll.
something, or that is that enough to say, hey, we need to ground the whole fleet because these things are dangerous? Or is this a one-off anomaly, like the crash in Sioux City, right? When the three-holer MD was MD-11 lost
DC-10.
DC-10 through a blade and lost all hydraulics. Now, God, the guys did a great job getting it down with just power, but obviously, hey, they need to investigate it. I know Boeing's under the gun, so to speak, for having some problems, and they're going to get more viz on it now.
Yeah, swept wing airplanes. I mean, they're susceptible to Dutch roll, swept wing jets. I mean, pretty much, I think all of them out there have a yaw damper to keep that from happening. Skid, I think you're right. As far as trying to see, is this a developing trend? What led to this? But to Mover's point, like, I also think that there's been, I guess there's been quality control questions with regard to how the airplane's built and even like the parts from suppliers and stuff. So I think people are a little on edge. And Mover, you've said it before. It's like there's a lot of little weird things happening. It just kind of feels like, like right before the water boils, which I don't like that at all. But thankfully, the good news is they were able to maintain control of the airplane and get everybody on the ground safely so we can have the investigation so they can look at it and be like, we got a bad batch of yaw dampers, or this is a one-off, whatever. It was installed incorrectly, just this one. So we're going to find out. And the good news is that'll make the entire fleet safer.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. So on the southwest side, so they had this issue, and then they also had this, and this I really want to talk more to the media, and it's too bad we don't have this because the Breaking Aviation, they said it came within 400 feet of slamming into the water.
Wow.
Go back up, Douglas. All the way to the top. Slamming into the water off the coast of Hawaii following an aborted landing attempt due to bad weather conditions. Now you can go back.
Wow.
The article I read, I sent you this, Gonky, the other day. Like Chicago News says, Southwest 737 plummets from 16,000 feet to 400 feet. That's the sensationalist headline. It says you got a 4,000 foot per minute descent rate.
Wow.
But it only lost 600 feet. So it's Southwest 2786 dropped from an altitude of 1,000 feet to 400 feet in just a few seconds. I mean, not excusing this. I'm just saying the sensationalism of this article,
right?
Not so great. So, according to Southwest Review, do we have that, Doug? Do we have the memo that came out?
It's in the share drive there. That's one of the links. Yeah.
So somehow are you not looking at it? That's it right there. So you have to click on it. So somehow an internal memo from Southwest was made. Oh, of course, it's in 1.69 font.
You're a pilot. You can read it.
Where are my reading glasses?
Well, so anyway, I'll summarize the incident. Basically, they're on approach, and the pilot flying was the first officer who was not experienced in the aircraft, and they thought, well, that'll be a good time to get some experience to fly in some challenging weather conditions.
Oh, good.
And they're on the approach, going to minimums, decided to do a go around because didn't see the runway, didn't see it, and executed the go around. First officer allegedly pushes forward, which causes them to descend to almost 400 feet before the captain says, hey, we need to go around. We need to like climb. You know, we're already going around. We need to climb. So,
Wow.
is that it, Doug? Does it say anything else that I'm missing? I can't. Dude, there's 0% chance.
Yeah,
I can read that.
I'm trying to find one I can read too. I haven't found it yet.
You can't click on that. That doesn't like. Why does it
I
open?
click on it and it just makes a small. Just does this.
Bad. Sorry.
And then when I try to enlarge it, it does that. Makes everything else bigger.
Okay, here's what it was. I've got it right here. It says the crew briefed the entire flight at the gate, discussed the thunderstorms were developing south of their destination. The first officer also mentioned they were monitoring flight radar and noticed multiple aircraft was also performing missed approach into LIH. Even with challenging weather conditions being forecasted, the captain elected to have the FO operate the short leg to LIH to build the first officer experience. Crew reported light to moderate turbulence throughout the flight. Even with weather conditions deteriorating, the ATIS and LIH Tower reported that the weather was at or above minimums for RNAV 17 approach. Crew briefed the go-around procedures, anticipating they might not be able to see the runway. As expected, the FO did not have the runway in sight by minimums and called go-around. Both pilots described the events from the first officer's go-around call to the holding altitude as high workload task saturation. During the go-around, the FO inadvertently pushed forward on the control column while following the thrust lever movement commanded by the autothrottle. At this point, the FO noticed the red airspeed tape pulled back on the thrust levers, results in descent. Safety data confirmed the crews received a don't sink JIPWA's oral warning, followed by pull up JIPWA's oral warning. FO later stated they did not hear the warnings due to intense task saturation. Captain assessed that the aircraft was in an undesirable state based on JIPWA's warning. The verbalized climb, turn left, immediately prompting the FO to increase thrust. The aircraft climbed aggressively during the recovery, maxing out at 8,500 feet per minute. The aircraft climbed. Neither pilot noticed activation of flap load relief from 15 to 10 degrees as a result of the increasing airspeed. Resulting in a phase 2 flap overspeed. The maximum speed recorded was 238 knots. Flaps 10 max speed is 210 knots. Phase 2 limit of 225 knots. In the aggressive maneuvers, the first officer unsuccessfully attempted to reconnect the autopilot due to the heavy control forces. Additionally, crew exceeded the missed approach altitude by nearly 700 feet. After recovering in the hold, the crew determined the best course of action was to return to the departure airport. Second attempt, the captain flew and they landed. So the first officer was not consulted during these conversations. Later stated they wished they had spoken up about their desire not to try a second attempt. FO also clarified the integrity of the operation. The fact that they met regulatory requirements to operate were some of the reasons they did not stop the second flight to LIH. Captain elected to be pilot flying. Due to deteriorating weather, they were assigned holding en route by ATC, prompting a decision to return to the departure airport without flying the approach to LIH. The crew returned to base safely. They filed ASAPs. So that is that one. Gentlemen, go with your data. Gonky, you're probably the most current airline guy. You tell me.
Yeah, I think kind of like you talked about, a little bit of sensationalism from the media. Excuse me, in my opinion. I mean, a missed approach, even the Airbus, you don't do them very often, and it can be a handful. And I can see. I mean, I've done one actual missed approach in the Airbus, and we got behind the airplane a little bit. So I mean, I read stuff like this, and challenging weather. I don't think they were as out of control as the media would like you to think. I think they got a hold of this internal narrative, whatever, and used it as news.
Yeah. So at 1,000 feet, they were at minimums. So if I remember right, because it says, I'm looking at the chart, 940, but you add 50 feet because of derived decision altitude. I feel like a nerd for knowing that.
Nerd.
Loser.
I mean, 1,000 feet to 400 feet. Yeah, that sucks. Here is funny. There was a comment on Twitter about how this has nothing to do with the max. This is not a max thing. This is not a max thing or whatever. Two things. One, I think it's a training thing. And I think after we just talked about the LaGuardia thing, maybe there's some stuff that needs to happen about just training on go-arounds and stuff like that. But second, I disagree that it's not a max thing. Because of the Franken Max and the design of the Max, that thing, the engines, they're powerful engines, CG, the thing wants to pitch up. Like a go around is not a pleasant thing to do in a 737 Max. I mean, I've practiced them in the sim, I've done them in real life. And when I used to fly the 737, that was the big emphasis item, right? Because you would always worry about overspeed and flaps, shooting through altitudes, all that stuff. Like you are on the tail end holding on. If you're not ahead of the aircraft, you can easily do it. And if you remember, there was a mishap very recently, well, not very recently now, but in Houston, where what was it, Atlas, one of the ACMI cargo
767,
yeah,
the 7.6, where the captain reached over, accidentally pressed toga, FO it pitches up, response is to push back down, they go into the swamp.
Wow.
This is very similar in the sense that this is a very scary thing. However, I think this should never have been public. This is the whole reason we have an ASAP program is to keep things internally to protect ourselves. And the reason we have a safety department within the airlines is to protect ourselves. And there's some level of safety privilege, because if everything can become public, then I think people will be less likely to fess up, and we won't get the lessons learned that we need to get. That being said, I think training needs to happen, but I go back to the terrible design of the 737 Max and the fact that they should have done a clean sheet, because I've flown now 2 fatty airplanes, and one is very, very difficult to do a go around, and one is a non-event. And all it is software. That's the only difference. Like, you got big engines, you got all that stuff, and one is a software thing, and one is, you've designed the CGs in the wrong spot, and it's tail heavy and it wants to pitch up, and it pitched up. Now I want to push back down, and when you push up, now you throw throttle back, and now we're in this PIO. I just
Skid, did you fly the 7.3 Classic?
727. I was a panel at Chicago.
Okay.
So, but I totally understand. You got all that technology at your fingertips, and you're trying to do what you got to do. And whether there's a training ism at SWA or whatever, I don't know, with the go around procedures. After the LaGuardia incident, you're talking about LaGuardia, right?
Yeah, where they were off center line,
off center line, and what the heck happened there. But I mean, I don't know. Giving the new guy, I understand giving the new guy some experience, but if the weather's that bad, captain, you do it. It's your job. You're the captain. When the weather's a little, I don't know. And the guy's doing the best he can, right? And
I don't know, Skid. I mean, so you looking at the plate, it's not like. So a lot of times, especially, I'm sure Southwest is like this, because of very few. There's a HUD on the captain side. There's no HUD on the FO side.
Yeah.
So there's up until actually pretty soon, from what I understand, they will be able to do auto land Cat 3. But
really,
right now, a Cat 3 approach in a 737 Max or 737 is done by the captain,
right,
to 50 feet radar rad out, using the HUD. It's not an autopilot. It's not an auto land. They don't have that here at this airport. So,
right.
Was it
LAH? Right? Is that Maui? Or is that
Lihu?
Is that it's not Hickam, is it? It's not Hickam.
No, it's a little island.
Oh.
All they have is the RNAV. They don't have any other approaches. Like, they've got RNAV. Oh, they do. They have for this runway, all they have is RNAV. They have an ILS on the other side. So if they run ILS 3.5, they could do this. But what I'm saying is, I don't see an issue with letting the FO fly it, because it's the same minimums. Like, you didn't gain anything. It's good.
Okay.
I agree with that decision. I don't have a problem with that, because you're type rated. By the time you get to the right seat in a Southwest airplane, you're an ATP with a type rating. You should be able to handle it.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't have any problem with that. The issue is the startle factor, the go around. It's much more violent in real life. Like, I had to go around in New Orleans in that airplane, and I just clicked everything off and just because if you follow the guidance, that's where things happen fast. You do everything, and you're like, oh, this is too complicated. If you click off everything and fly it like a real airplane,
good point.
It flies like a real airplane.
There you go.
But that's not how we're trained. So,
awesome.
What do you think, Gonky?
Yeah, I I was very surprised at the pitch up moment that happens when you do a go around with an airplane with low slung engines under the wings. I don't know about in the Boeing, but in the Airbus, even when you take off, you push forward on the stick to help keep the nose down because she wants to, she wants to get the nose up. So, taking an airplane like the 7.3, stretching it, putting massive engines on it that are hanging low, and kind of like you said, Mover. I mean, anybody who goes in an airport, just look. They have the sticks that hold the tail of the 7.3 from sitting on the ground, right? Because it is tail heavy, right? Or the CG is like it's right there, right? So, I mean, Skid, I can see what you're saying. Challenging conditions, junior first officer. It's like, dude, let me just do this one. But I also see Mover's point where, dude, this airplane, if you read about the classic 7.3, it is a superb design for what it was designed for. The mission has changed, and that airplane is no longer adequate for today's narrow body, short haul mission, generally speaking.
Right.
So I mean, but
Yeah,
I also agree with Mover, man. This is something that's internal, should have never got out. And
well, and I will add, we all make mistakes.
Dude.
It can happen to anybody. But for the grace of God go I. I will always say that because at any, this could be any one of us on any given day.
100%.
Like to err is to human. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under a bus because I think that people underestimate how serious a go around is on a 737 Max or a 737 NG. I think it's.
I mean, how? But the other thing is, we don't train. Like we don't train a lot to go around. We don't do go arounds a lot. That's the other thing. So it's kind of a skill.
You don't do them in real life. You do them in the sim once a year.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I've done one in 5 years and it did not go per script. So it did not go as advertised. It was very sporty. And now, to me, that was shocking because I'm like, how can, coming from a fighter, I'm like, this is easy, burner, gear up, flaps up. Where am I going next? Like kind of thing. But an airliner, all kinds of, it's just amazing,
Well, it's because there's so much happening in such a short amount of time. And believe it or not, these airplanes are hugely overpowered in toga. Like when we take off, we very seldomly do max thrust takeoffs, right? You always do a D rate or a standard thrust where it's a D rate plus an assumed temperature or something. So like you're not getting the full, like a fighter where it's like our takeoff today will be full afterburner question. It's like, what's the setting all the way as far as it'll go, unless you got a wingman in a formation takeoff, then you might crack it back a little bit and let them keep up. But you're not, that's toga is, you've got it. Here you go. Here's all of it.
Ludicrous speed, go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally.
So you've got a situation you're not used to. Your immediate action, right? You got to remember. I mean, it's boldface, right? Toga, go around toga flaps 15 in the 737. So you are calling for flaps. The other girl is trying to put flaps up for you.
Yep.
You're climbing away. You're getting positive rate gear up. You're trying to remember all the things to say. You got to hit a roll mode. You got to hit a vertical mode. You got to make sure the thing's doing what you want to do. But the thing is that it's startle factor, man. You get out of your OODA loop. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you get out of that where you thought you were, it takes a second.
Wow.
So, I still blame the Max because that thing should never have been designed. It should have been a 757. It should have been a 757 or 797. It should have been some, they kept the 737 small, some kind of intermediate jet, and then wide body.
Skid. Yeah. Be honest, in the 7.2, did you guys ever not do a max power takeoff?
That's classified.
Is it?
No, I remember being in Denver and we had a full boatload of people and it was a hot summer day and we pushed back and then we figured out I'm doing all the ACARS data told that. Hey sir, we're over gross. we had to go to the pad and wait there for like 20 minutes to burn our fuel down to legal limits. And the runways at Denver International are like 15 billion feet long, and so the people in the back are just loving that because the 737 or 727 on the ground does not have good AC, and even though you run the and so other people in the back are moaning until we finally get. But yeah, there was no just you set the yeepers la la la. It's fun. It's good. 3 engines are better than 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
Gonky, what do you want to? We got time for one more topic, and then the mental health minute. What do you think is next? I'll let
Whatever,
you
man.
pick there.
Come on.
You got this basic
Dealer's choice.
maybe.
Dealer's choice.
Let's do since we
It's
have
your topic.
skid. Since
Whatever it is, you pick.
All right, Doug's got it up, man. Bring it up. Since we have skid, the skid also flew. Skid also flew.
Yeah.
Skid also flew the original stealth fighter.
Once a sheep, always a sheep.
F-117. So not only was Skid an A-10 Savage, he was also the first of the invisible.
Stealth guy.
That's
Hey,
right.
Good times. That's cool.
So was it last week, Move, or 2 weeks ago? We talked about the F-16 heritage paint job they did from 50 years ago.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
Which
that was
is
a couple
super
weeks ago.
Yeah, so they did another one here, the 8th Fighter Squadron. They now fly
Black
F-16s.
Sheep.
Yeah,
Black Sheep.
They painted one of their F-16s to resemble.
There's my plaque right there.
Yeah, to resemble the F-117. So they flew that thing from 92 out there to 06. Like Skid said, Black Sheep. And there's not a whole lot with the article other than the fact that they did a really nice paint job.
So that's nice.
Honoring the there's the tail.
Cool.
And
there's sheep.
Exactly.
Cool.
And while I was kind of like looking, I was like, man, we got Skid on. We got to get him talking about this.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah. Mask on, visor down. That's definitely you.
Classified.
But no, Skid. So hey, did you flew him out of Holloman?
Yeah.
Yes. What time period?
Bandit 4480 at your service, 94 to 97.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So after the airplane was moved from Tonopah to Holloman Air Force Base to bring it into more normal operations. So we flew a more normalized schedule than the Tonopah guys, where everything they did at Tonopah was all double black, secret, dark.
Yeah.
Where the satellite's at, kind of thing. And at Holloman, we flew them day and night. So that was kind of nice. You can sleep in, go into your, you have like a 1 o'clock brief for the PM go or afternoon go, and then like an early go, like at around 7 or 8 at night. So it was pretty nice. It was nice.
Yeah. So did you? So the guys that trained you, were they from the Secret Squirrely?
Oh, everyone moved from Tonopah down there to Holloman, and we had 3 squadrons. The 7th, 8th, and 9th. 7th was a training squadron, the Bunyaps. And then the 8th and 9th were the operational squadrons. The 8th, the Black Sheep, and the 9th was the flying / Iron Knights. They changed the call sign. The 9th Fighter Squadron. So once you went through the RQ, got your little ticket, and then you went to the 8th or 9th for your operational squadron, then you got your MR check after X amount of sorties, and then you're full up round. It's pretty nice.
And in that community, it was mostly solo ops, wasn't it?
Everything. I mean, your first ride in the F-117 is solo. Is your solo.
No,
it's
I mean, like, but like
you're talking about mission. And, your mission. You're a single. You're on a mission to go kill whatever target you got. You got two GBUs on board, and you're going to go hit a target. The baby milk factory or the AT&T building or whatever. So you studied your photo pack for the night, and I got these targets I'm going to hit, practice hitting, and you take off, you did a fighter stream, so you briefed as a mass group, and then everyone flew the same route that night. You kind of followed and trail of each other. But yeah, you're out there practicing your targets, finding the targets you wanted to hit, and it was really neat. A really neat system.
So you came straight from the A10 to the F-117?
No, I had to stop in the T-37.
Oh, the
for
Tweety
3
bird.
years. 3 years in the Tweet, baby.
But you went A10, Tweet,
F-117.
Now I'm curious, man. I mean, so the F-117, at least in the public eye, was still relatively new when you went to it. So like,
oh yeah, it was still had the aura around it with all the ace cool and all that kind of stuff there, the frisbee. And so a buddy of mine got me in the program. I went out there TDY, and he put me in the back of one of our 38s that we had at Tyndall, and I chased a 117. I'm like, that's the F-117 stealth fighter. And that's what got me sold on it. I said, I'll do that.
Did you guys use 38s for currency?
Yep. 38s were your chase ship for your check rides and the like there. And then afterwards, you did everything with your CFE with your videotape pretty much. But yeah, the 38s used in the TR mode to chase your patterns and approaches and stuff like that. So all of our Tyndall jets, that's what they were. That's stealth jets.
That's rad, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
cool.
I don't know. Was your coming from the A10?
Yep.
Was it an easy transition for you?
I mean, it's a jet. It goes fast, a lot faster because the wing sweep. The F-117's got a 70-degree wing sweep. 70 degrees. You can't see your wing. You're looking at those bay windows. You can't see your wings.
Yeah.
And if you cannot go slow. If you go below, I think the published speed was like 150 or something. You'll go out of control. You'll go out of control if you get too slow. And so the airplane's dynamic and stable, so it'll do this on you. So you landed, we did the approach like a 175,
Whoa.
170, touching on 160, something 165. You had a little bit of pad there, and then you had the bat chute.
Dang, that's faster than the 38. Oh
yeah. And you could outrun the 38 above 10K. So your eyepiece chasing you, and then full of power, man. Gonky, what motors does the F-117 have on it?
I think it has Hornet motors, non-afterburning, right?
Thank you. F-404s.
404s.
Yeah.
Non-afterburning.
404.
Right?
Non-AV.
404.
That's right.
F-404 motors.
F-404. And the Rhino has 414. That's right.
God.
Oh, it's all coming back now, man.
You're not a real fighter pilot, Gonky. You didn't fly.
But I read a lot.
But it's a cool jet, really neat airplane. It's off-the-shelf technology. F-15 hydraulics and Viper flight control system, Flickus, whatever, Buff INS, so I list where I had, and F-18 motors. So it's really cool, neat airplane.
Analog or digital?
What's that? I'm sorry. What's that?
The Flickus. Was it the analog Flickus? Did you have to pinch pull?
What? What's he talking, Gonky? I hit a button. I'd get the airplane powered. I hit a button, and the airplane would do this. And you just don't touch it. You go like this, okay? And you go, is there any faults? Okay, good to go. Is that what I mean by analog?
Yeah, we had analog and digital Flickus. It's just what kind of system.
I hit a button, and the thing did the funky chicken. It checked all the stuff out,
Yeah.
And then I went, as long as it passed the bit check, I'm going.
Yeah, well, I read this article, and then as I was looking at more stealth fighter stuff, I thought it was kind of crazy because they retired it in 08, 06, something like that. But
retired.
Right. They want to qual it with the KC-46. Like it's on the list to get qualled as like you said, it retired.
But they've been flying them against it at Savannah, right? You've seen them at Savannah, right? Savannah exercise. They've been bringing them out and flying a few of them against 5th gen. Because it's a good LO asset. It's hard to find, hard to see.
Yeah.
So it's playing a big cruise. It's playing a big cruise missile now.
T-38 was hard to see.
Very hard. Yeah, God.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Jeff says, Gonky, you rock. Mover, you too. Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, what about me?
Skid, you're in there too.
You rock. Jeff also says, any insights in the V-22, especially the Navy?
I read a little bit today about the V22. We put out that video a while ago, and it was my mistake. It can carry the F-35 engine. I misspoke. I said it can't. And we talked about it has the 30-minute limitation DoD wide. Not so much an issue over land, because that's 30 minutes from a suitable landing point, not your home base. But operating out over the water, 30 minutes from the ship might be an issue. I generally, I guess I kind of poo-pooed the V-22 for the Navy, but I read a couple articles today that were in support of it, and it did bring up some valid points. I mean, the V-22, as a like we talked earlier, Skid, about search and rescue,
Right.
That thing can get out to a downed aviator in the water quickly, hover.
Yes.
So that I'm like, okay, water's cold. Being a naval aviator, I don't like to be in the water at all. I'll take a V-22 to come in again.
Right. Yeah.
It has its place. I think a new technology, it definitely has its growing pains, but time will tell if it ends up being a good airframe. But that's really the only insight I got, man. It was just kind of the stuff I was looking at today for today's show. But I think the 30-minute restriction is still in play, and I think for the Navy that's a tough one. That's why the COD, the old C2s, have been working overtime in the interim.
Wow.
All right. Skunder says, just had my first solo, and your show was a large region. I finally took the leap to start flying and looking into military aviation. Thanks, guys. There you go.
Congrats.
Awesome. Congrats.
You're gonna love it, baby.
Oh yeah. Chad says, Skid, once a sheep.
Thank
you for being a return guest. 8 FS Avionics.
All right.
95. You were there.
Yeah,
right?
baby. I probably bought him a beer or two. Thank you.
That's awesome.
All right. Moving on to the mental health minute, Gonky.
Oh, Mover, you go ahead on this one. I did last week.
Hey, look who's shown up.
Luna
Bell.
Hello, Luna.
She moved so she could be in the frame for the end. That's her MO.
Ready for her doggy treats.
Mental health minute. We always talk stuff that's in life, and I did a AIB report today that went live today, and it was the F-15. They took the cable, or he tried to take the cable, but the cable was down. But he had briefed that he was going to do a go around, but he second guessed himself. And while that's oversimplification, a lot more went on. One of the things it made me think of was, in life, we tend to second guess ourselves, unless you're Gonky. Gonky doesn't second guess himself ever.
It's a naval aviator.
Yeah, naval aviator. But I find myself specifically, I think when you're not feeling great, or when you're not confident in kind of what's going on, you start to second guess, and you can get into a paralysis by analysis, where you're basically, you don't go anywhere because you're second guessed. Did I do the right thing? Was this working, or whatever? And when I get into situations like that, I think the only thing that really helps me is to be able to have, it's like everything else. You have to have your wingman. You have to have somebody that you can talk to kind of snap you out of it, to go, hey, you're doing the right thing. Just go with it. And sometimes, we look for that perfect plan, but a half-assed plan executed now is better than a perfect plan executed never. So if we just push forward, and, Gonky, one of the things I admire about you is you're just going to figure it out. And, there's no second guessing, because you just do it. Meanwhile, the rest of the mere mortals among us, we kind of sit there and we go, well, yeah, but if I do this, it's going to be ruined forever, and it's never going to work again. And if I quit now, look what I'm going to lose. Or if I go sign up for this, then I won't be able to get out of it. So that's tough. And honestly, I don't really have a good answer. I brought this topic up to ask Gonky his advice. So Gonky, go ahead. Tell us about how you never second guess yourself.
Well, thank you, Mover. I appreciate that. But truth be told, I do. I mean, everybody second guesses himself, right? I mean, it's human nature, because, I mean, how many times do you make a decision and it goes exactly as planned, right? So as soon as the train comes off the tracks a little bit, you're like,
Mhm.
is that the right choice? I mean, how many times have you taken off on a mission and you're like, I should not have taken off, right? The weather's bad, the jet's bad, my
Mhm.
plan's terrible, whatever, like,
Mhm.
I think it's human nature, but I keep going back to it. I mean, I'm a terrible sinner, but I think mover, a lot of it is my faith gets me through it. I It's not, God doesn't send me an email or a letter specifically telling me what to do. But when I do something with some conviction, I feel that's kind of his way of telling me to do something. And it may not turn out well, it may turn out great, but I just know to keep going. Um, and I don't know if that's a good way to think about things, but to me, it takes a lot of the anxiety out of it, and it brings a lot of peace to me, because I know I don't have any answers, but I know that any life decision, man, like the a perfect example. Should I take the Boeing job flying Super Hornets just a couple months ago? Right? I mean, huge, right? That was my ticket back in the game, Um, and I did a lot of, I prayed about it, and I I was like, if now you could just send me an email, I need a clear one on this one, But you and I talked about it a lot. Heck, Skid, I think I even called you and talked to you about it.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
maybe we were eating Thai
Yeah.
food. I was telling you about it.
Yeah. Big
But
change, big decision.
I
Mhm.
seeked as much wisdom as I could down here, prayed about it. And I have, in that regard, I have, that decision, I have no regrets and no second guesses there. But that's what really helps me. And if you're not a religious person, maybe you're a spiritual person, or whatever religious beliefs you have. But I think that people who have some sort of faith outside of just themselves uh, can maybe take a lesson from that and how to handle that. Skid, I don't know, man. You're much wiser. I will not say older. You are much wiser than I am. What do you think, sir?
Carry on. I'll be in the airport all day. No, it's a very good question for your mental health. You look back on, what could I have done better? Say the story didn't go very well. I should have I should have broken left or broken right. Why did I do that? And now you get into a PIO, pilot induced oscillation, right? On I should have done that. No, you got to be you got to be smart in your. I say smart. Um, you know, did it hurt anybody? Did I endanger somebody in my flight today? Was I goofing off, not paying attention? Um, so I think you do a good you do I call it a personal debrief. Hey, how'd the day go? Did I do right? Did I do all the things I was supposed to do today? Did I get into a traffic? What do you call it? Driver? Getting ever had that? You're driving on the road and
Road
someone cuts
rage.
you off.
Road
Road
rage.
rage. And what's your immediate reaction? I want to ram him or something or him or whatever. And you go, you got a second guess right there. Like, what's going to happen if I do this? I mean, you'll feel fun, but then you got to worry about the cops and blah, 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 blah. So, I think it's just important to don't beat yourself up over it. Try to have, try to take I would say conservative path. So you don't, if you're always second guessing yourself, maybe need some counseling. I don't know, but just be positive in what you're doing. Are you hurting? If you're doing right by most people, you're fine. But you got to be careful about. Again, I think we talked about this last time we had our discussion. Is that you start eating yourself up with, oh, I should have done this, should have done that. Okay, you didn't hurt anybody. You're trying to do right. You're going to do better the next time. And then that's what happens, right? Experiences lead to you saying, hey, I've seen this happen before. If they go around in the max or something, oh, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to push over. So hopefully that training becomes inculcated and you do better next time. So
Yeah, Skid, I'm glad you're here, because I think that is, you're right, because why? A lot of times, at least for me, why do we second guess ourselves?
Mhm.
Because we have scars. We have scars because the last time you did something, it didn't work out, and so you start to feel like it's not going to work out before. Well, how do we fix that in aviation training? How do we fix that in law enforcement training? Right? You don't hesitate going through the door because you're going to get killed. You got to move, speed.
Mhm.
You got to move with speed. So I'm reminded of when I was in pilot training, I was doing a formation takeoff, took a bird down the intake. I did not know, like, immediately after, if I had even done the boldface. Like, I was like, did I try to abort? Because my mind thought I had tried to rip it to idle, changed my mind, and went. But the training kicked in, and I didn't. I did what I was trained to do: throttles max, flap 60, single engine takeoff speed.
Wow.
So it worked.
Mhm.
And I think in the mental side of this, it applies too, because you have to find the root cause,
Mhm.
and and that's like you said, it's with counseling. It's with finding out what gave you those scars, what made you not trust yourself, what made you lose the confidence, and then overcoming it. I mean,
Right.
dude, some people have a lot of scars. I got a lot of scars because, things have not worked out in a lot of situations. And then next thing you're like, everything I do is going to turn into a failure if I don't second guess it. Because your mind, it's a defense mechanism. So you have to find that root cause, and you have to attack it, and then train your brain to confidently move forward. Now, that doesn't mean, never think about what you're doing. It just means don't completely second guess yourself to the point that you make yourself miserable or you never accomplish anything. So, Doug, what do you think on that? What's your, as our resident expert?
I don't know why I'm the resident expert on so many different topics. I had to think really hard about this one to find any real handle on it. Probably, I'm gonna brag a little and say maybe because I don't get into these situations very much. And the reason I kind of did what you guys just suggested, I stepped outside of it for a second and said, why is that? Because, I've had throughout my life a lot of opportunities to have hobbies that could have killed me, and they haven't. And, I was an amateur race car driver and owner for 30 years. And I think I've missed maybe 3 events because of mechanical failures. So I must have been doing something right. And I think what it was pretty much the same things you guys referenced, training and preparedness, having a good routine. And almost it occurred to me to say, you can't have second thoughts if you're not thinking. If you're so prepared and so well trained that you just do the thing, just like you said, Mover, whether it's going into a room or, coming off the front straight into turn 1 and really laying on the brakes. If you're thinking, you can't think at those speeds. If you're prepared and trained and careful when you have time to be careful, then that's when it pays off, and then after the fact, you go back and say, okay, why did that work? Why didn't that work? But in the moment, there's no time for that. Does that make sense?
Don't think, just do.
Don't think, do.
You told me not to think.
You die.
That's right. No
You
time
told me
to
not
think
to
there.
think. Yeah.
If
You think
it-
you're dead.
If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's some validity. Thomas Cruise had it right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not to
Anything
say
else,
I've never
Doug?
second guessed myself, but usually for me, it's
Let's
my
see a
wife.
perfect example of a textbook maneuver. Maverick.
I love you, man.
Maverick.
I
I get
miss
some
you.
quotes in here, man. Come on.
I know.
All right. Hey, we got a from the audience.
Mahalo.
Wait. did we
Mahalo
do
for another great show.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Awesome.
Hey, did we do the voice? Did we do the?
Oh yeah, we do. Hold on.
We didn't do that.
Hold
Yeah.
on. We got a voice. It's after. That comes chronologically. So we
Skid,
got
this
one
is for
last
you.
one.
Eh.
Hold on, looking for it.
Why do we need to retire the A-10 Warthog and keep the Marine Corps Hornet around? That makes absolutely no sense to me. I thought the Warthog was having its wings replaced, and it comes with all these smart weapons, and it's a lot more popular aircraft than the classic Hornet, except on DCS. So that's Joe's question for today. Thanks, Mover and Garky, and hopefully we can save the Warthog once again.
He sounds like he asked that question on the aircraft PA.
Cool.
Ladies and
Folks
gentlemen,
from the
Call your
flight deck, folks on the flight deck, we'd like to know why we have. No.
all right, Skid. Hey, I
Call
need you
your
to
congressman.
lie to
Call your
the
congressman.
just lie to the audience. Tell them why the A10 is better than the Hornet. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Gonky, hey, Gonky, I don't know if it was you, but and this is urban legend in a certain faraway country, that A10s were coming in to rip out the Hornet that was on station at a certain location, doing God's work. And there's usually you do a handoff, AO update, pass me some words. The Hornet guy told the A10 guys, "You got it, I'm out." He went back to the boat.
Hey,
He's like, hey, can I get some AO update here, man?
yeah,
I
that's
need
baby
some
talk for you. Got
Hornets.
it.
You got it. You got this. I'm going back to the boat to get some chow.
Slider. Get a slider.
I love the Navy.
The man's question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the A10 is Hornet's good. We like the Hornet, but I think the A10 is if you want CAS, you want the hog. Mm-hmm. You want the hog.
We had an army liaison on the ship who gave us our daily intel brief, and he told us army guys prefer A10s, but if they can't get A10s, next is Hornets.
Yeah,
Prefer the Apache.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, that's short range, right? Yeah. So
Yep.
a lot of Mover, did you do Afghanistan, Mover?
No, just Iraq.
Yeah. I mean, in Afghanistan, I would fly forever and then check in with like a group of 20 dudes out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
I mean, I'm like, what are you guys doing out here? I don't even want to be out here. So, yeah, I mean, Apache ain't gonna cut it.
Wow.
I don't think I ever saw an Apache in Iraq.
Really?
Like, never saw. I mean, because like when they would mortar the base, we would be the ones. We'd be the overhead our own base, So I was like, I don't know. They might have had them. You know what? I think during that time, 2009, they had moved everything to Afghanistan.
Oh.
Because remember they moved theaters back and forth a couple times. I think that's what happened.
The other thing is when the Apaches, I mean, not to bash the Apache, but like bad guys can hear it coming. And I just because I watched a couple of guys plan an IED, and the Apaches were trying to come in and take them out. And when the Apaches would get close, they would scatter because they could hear the rotor blades. So, and they couldn't see us at 25,000 feet. I was like, hey, I got a laser Mav.
Yeah. You got to sneak up on them.
Yeah. No action for Gonky, but at least I got to watch him run around and dig a hole.
Title of your sex tape. Plexi says, long live the legacy Hornet.
Thanks,
and that
Plexi.
concludes the start. Hey, Gonky, we should probably tell them about the schedule change, huh?
What?
Oh, yeah.
Schedule change.
Yeah.
Next Thursday. So next Monday, right? Yeah. Next Monday.
Is it going to be Thursdays?
It'll be Thursdays for just 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got it.
So
yeah, Skid. So maybe I know every day is Saturday and Sunday for you, Skid, but if you could
keep my schedule clear,
if you could keep one of those partially clear, we'd probably have you back on at a time or two, man. I'll dig up some more A10 stuff.
Yeah.
It'll have to be Thursday. That's what we decided, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that'll work.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We'll put it out.
So no show until a week from Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we could do one Thursday, but it seems excessive because you got so many topics already.
Unless somebody decides to just come home and, we just
second guessing all that right now.
Second guessing right now. Your decision.
As we second guess. Look,
Luna, get in the car.
Here, boy.
Did you just misgender my dog?
Here, girl.
How dare you, sir?
Here, dog.
Your dog. That's right.
Did you just call my Yeah.
Viper guys are so sensitive, man.
Oh my gosh.
Leave her alone. Don't bully my dog. You're lucky she
Great
can't hear
dog.
you.
That's
Great
awesome.
dog.
Skid, dude. Hey, thanks for coming tonight,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
Enjoyed it, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on.
I don't get to hang out enough with both you guys, and this is
Come get some Thai
fun.
food, Gonky. Come on, mover. Get down here.
No, mover. No. No, make it stop.
Cease buzzer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Come on, that's your deplaning music. It's the boarding to get
Oh,
off fire.
How the mighty have fallen, dude. Oh my gosh.
Don't spill the
Laura
coffee.
says, I was misspecied
That's
by Gonky.
true. Laura, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Laura.
Sorry,
So
I'm
abusive.
sorry. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see you next Thursday.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. Yeah. Thanks, mover.
Good night, guys.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Peace.
Right,
Hold on,
everybody.
I had to hit the button. Good night. Thanks, Doug, as always.
Good night,
Bye.
Doug.
Thanks,
Hey,
kid.
guys.